Hello, my name is Brian William Hall, and I just happen to be the producer of a conference on conspiracies. It is called Conspiracy Con, and I'm standing here in the exhibit room at the Santa Clara Marriott next to a meeting room behind me where people are discussing things like conspiracies, hidden agendas, Big Brother, and that infamous New World Order. I produced this conference because those things are not conspiracy theory. It isn't fantasy, it isn't fiction, it isn't theory, and it never was. Turns out, ladies and gentlemen, it's real. It's all too real. And this is our 10th annual event. We've produced 9 before it, and we aren't going away. We've discussed things, as mentioned, like the New World Order, but everything that falls under that umbrella agenda for the planet, like mind control, secret societies, 9/11, Oklahoma City, JFK, the chemtrail program, the aerosol spraying in the sky for those of you who bother to look up and see that you are being crop dusted like pests. We discuss how our banking institution has betrayed us, that those who control this country's money have absolutely nothing to do with our government or the Constitution or we the people. We are in a lot of trouble, ladies and gentlemen, and it's time for the human race to grow up and become adults and perhaps look at a few disturbing things that we've decided to ignore. We've kept our heads buried in the sand much too long. Let me submit something to you, the viewers out there. You cannot have a fundamental understanding of Earth history or current global geopolitics until you acknowledge the existence and influence therein of that which is colloquially known as the secret government or the shadow government, the powers that be, the global elite. Those James Bond villains we think are only in the movies that have nothing but total global dominion as their goal. They're real. They're absolutely real. They do operate behind the scenes. They are secretive. They are shadowy. They operate behind the proverbial curtain. That's exactly what the Wizard of Oz was telling you. It's one of many messages in that very esoteric film. We're talking about the wizard that operates behind the curtain. Why does he have to operate behind the curtain? Perhaps if we found out, we might not like what he's up to. You know, it's said that an informed public is a dangerous thing. Well, dangerous for whom? Perhaps those who would benefit the most from keeping us in ignorance, keeping us asleep, keeping us in utter amnesia, totally unaware of what the big picture is, of the fact that we do live on a pyramid planet. I submit to you once again, ladies and gentlemen, the conspiratorial view of history is far closer to the truth than any other version of history. And what backs that up? History, that's what. History has proven that the so-called conspiracy theorists have actually asked harder questions, tougher questions. They've dug deeper. They have gone further down the rabbit hole than most dare to go. And they have discovered some astonishing things. And so can you. But you don't have to go digging around deep, dark dungeons anymore to discover that there's something very wrong with planet Earth. Look at what is happening all around us. We are still at war, an illegal one in the Middle East, by the way, based on an inside job. Oh yes, that's right, an inside job. We are looking at the precipice that's approaching fast of a total global economic collapse. We are looking at pandemic after pandemic. We are looking at any given type of shock and awe to scare us again and again and again, perhaps to do things we ordinarily wouldn't do. Is it possible people would do that so that we would allow things to happen in this world, so that we would do things we ordinarily would not do? You bet. You bet. The boogeyman, yeah, he's real, but he's the product of a doctor, a Frankensteinian doctor. The monster has been built. It's coming for you, but you got to realize you do a lot better to expose the doctor and stop him. In other words, there's a cancer invading, in this case, the body politic. I suggest we go for the source so that the cancer can't invade us anymore. The source is a group of very powerful, interconnected secret societies, banking institutions, international royal bloodlines, and industrial dynasties. The most powerful people on the planet. The shadow government, the secret government. Forget the Obamas and the Palins and the McCains and the Bushes and the Clintons of the world. These are all puppet agents for the real power structure. The very power structure that we expose every year in spades, by the way, at this conference. I've seen it. I've been studying this information now myself for almost 2 decades. I've produced a conference that deals with exposing these things for a full decade now. This is our 10th conference. If there was nothing to it, how could I possibly produce a 10th conference on the topic of conspiracies with hundreds in attendance each time? I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just putting the truth on a pedestal. Unfortunately, when seeking the truth, one discovers conspiracy along the way. But that's about to change. People are waking up. Those who believe that Oswald was the lone gunman, those who still believe in the official version of 9/11, in the official version of everything in between and beyond, right now, today, not tomorrow, today are becoming dinosaurs. It's a renaissance that's sweeping the planet. All I'm doing is facilitating it. Let me share a couple of statistics with you, and I'll use mainstream sources. Just 3 or 4 years ago, Time magazine, that Illuminati rag, published, after taking a poll, one of their own, when they asked people what they thought of 9/11, at that time, 3 or 4 years ago, 36% said that either they did not believe in the official version or that the government had something to do with it. 36%, that's 1/3 of the American public to almost virtually overnight become a conspiracy theorist. How did that happen? That means if you are not, you the individual watching this, if you are not a conspiracy theorist, then the person on the left of you or the person on the right of you is. Now, let's zoom to today, June 6th, 2010. Similar polls have been taken. That number has gone up. It's closer to 50%, 1 in 2. So if you're in a room with only 2 people and you still buy that Osama bin Laden and 19 of his cohorts were able to breach American security forces, which is multifaceted and funded by the biggest budget on the planet. If you think a man with his laptop and 19 of his associates who couldn't fly worth a damn managed to breach our airspace, fly planes into a couple of buildings, and collapse those buildings, buildings that were built to withstand such impact, buildings that collapsed when buildings of that type have never collapsed before or since with such trauma. If you believe that, then the person with you does. And I apologize for using the word belief, because our belief systems have very little to do with the truth, if anything. We have intellectual knowledge of conspiracy. We are looking not at, oh, gee whiz, what if? Wouldn't it be interesting? Oh, this is a hobby. I'm a conspiracy buff. This is fun. It's great to know that my leaders, the people I put my trust, the people I have given a tremendous amount of power, are betraying me. They are murdering my fellow citizens. They are robbing me and my fellow citizens. The level of corruption is mountainous. And how could anybody possibly think that that's fun or cute? This is not a club. This is not a hobby. I am not a buff. We take this very, very seriously. And I hope you do too. I hope you don't listen to Brian William Hall, the guy who puts on this crazy conference. Look at the evidence yourself. Turn off the stupid box. There's a tremendous amount of mind control on this planet, and we volunteer to be mind controlled. Every time we come home from work, there's a very powerful machine that does just that every day, and we voluntarily turn it on. It sits in the corner of our living room, and it tells us about our world at 6 and 11. It gives us news, weather, and sports in just 30 minutes, and we call ourselves informed. No, you're not informed. You're not informed until you take a look at all versions of history, because there are many versions of history as there are participants. But the participants, courtesy of the mainstream media, courtesy of mainstream education, courtesy of Big Brother, big government, military, science, religion, and beyond, they are deciding what your worldview is. They are putting that perception into your head. It is a very sophisticated effort. These people are very good at what they do, the powers that be. They are masters at their craft. They have mapped and tapped one of the greatest mysteries known to humankind, and that's which rests between your ears and right behind your eyes. And they are working you every day. They're very good at it. But if you really want to have a worldview, stop looking at their version of it and know that there are others. Are you starting to sense that something is very wrong? Are you starting to sense that what you're being told isn't the truth, that it isn't empowering? Do you get the sense that when you turn on the television, all there is programming? Why do you think they call it television programming? What's on the program tonight, honey? I don't know. There seems to be a lot of programming going on television these days. I think you get the idea. Anyway, my name is Brian Hall, and I say this loud and proud. If you want to label me a conspiracy theorist, that's fine. I'm a conspiracy theorist. But all's fair in truth and war and love, babe. I get to call you an accident theorist. I get to call you a coincidence theorist. I get to call you a whoopsie-daisy theorist. Whoopsie-daisy, something terrible just happened in our great country again. Uh-oh, it just happened again. Couldn't be related. The fact that each and every time something like 9/11 or a political assassination or a famine or economic hardships occur and we lose more of our money, we lose more of our rights, we lose more of our freedoms subsequent to each event. Oh, no, there couldn't be a pattern. There couldn't be an agenda as our great country crumbles beneath our feet. No, that's a conspiracy theory. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and pop open a beer, get a bag of chips, and watch the game. You go do that, Mr. and Mrs. America. I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to do the best I can to wake the rest of us up to save both me and you. I really mean that. And I'm not trying to be insulting. We're working hard here while you and many of your friends have been indoctrinated into thinking we are your enemy. And that is very disheartening. But I do understand. I understand that maybe you're a little bit scared. I understand that you might not want to participate in something like this because you're afraid that you'll be labeled or tagged, that you'll be targeted by the very forces we work to expose. But let me assure you something. The human race has been targeted. They're crop dusting us from the skies. They're poisoning our air. They're poisoning our food with monosodium glutamate and aspartame. They are poisoning our water with fluoride. They're poisoning our oral care products with fluoride. This is a known toxic waste byproduct that dumbs you down. These are but a few examples. Check out the internet. Look at the information yourself. Go to my website, conspiracycon.com, and take a look at what we're talking about. And maybe just do a little bit of homework and then come back to me. And if you tell me that you've done a lot of homework and you still think I'm wrong, if you take a look at the same documentation, evidence, testimony, history, and patterns, and you think I'm nuts, well, then maybe I'll come to your house and I'll drink a beer and eat some chips and watch the game with you. But if it's the other way around, we hope to see you here. It's really important that you do. Thank you very much.